Hi guys, welcome to Too Cool for Middle School. I mentioned in one of my last videos that I recently got a new job. Totally wasn't planning on it, it just was something that worked out. But I went through that whole process of applying for a job, going through the interview, doing all the processing with HR. And so while it's fresh in my mind, I thought I would make a video for you to just help you to know what to expect when you are trying to get a teaching job. I've noticed that a lot of people who watch my channel are looking to become teachers in the future, and they're kind of looking for advice. So I think I've been asked to make this video many times, so I hope this is what you're looking for. Trying to get a teaching job is a little bit different than, trying to get other jobs, because really they're mostly only open like during the summer. That's when schools do their hiring. So it's kind of like you got to get this done in the summer, otherwise you're waiting a whole nother year. There just aren't a lot of openings during the school year. So this is going to be really different than how you would expect to get a job. If you talk to somebody who got a teaching job like 10 or 20 years ago, they'll still tell me things like, oh yeah, you just gotta know a principal and just start subbing in a district or whatever. That's not how it works anymore. That's not at all. It is all computerized, and that's almost a good thing, because then you're not penalized. Like if you don't happen to know a bunch of people in the district, you can just get a job anywhere, even if you don't have a ton of connections. There are definitely still districts that, kind of already have somebody in mind when they post a job, and, it may still help you a little bit to kind of know somebody in the district, but overall, it's going to be a job that's posted on EdJoin. So that's the very first thing you need to do if you are trying to get a teaching job. So EdJoin was started by the San Joaquin County Office of Education. I think my dad actually knows the guy that started it. So it's a pretty brilliant idea. It's like monster.com or indeed.com or whatever, just for teaching jobs. And it actually just started for California teaching jobs. And it was only a few districts back in the day when I first started looking for a teaching job, 4 or 5 years ago. That's how it was. And now it's expanded to, I think, every single state. I was looking at the website yesterday, and I was looking at all the states. I didn't see any missing. So I'm pretty sure whatever state you're watching this from, your first step is to just go on EdJoin and make a profile. Now, this is going to take you a little while. The first day that you try to make a profile, you're probably not going to finish it. They ask you a lot of things, and there's a bunch of stuff that you have to upload, and it has to be in the right format and all of that. So the very first thing that you should probably try to get so that you can upload it onto your profile is a few letters of recommendation. I would say get 3 from, like a principal. If you had a principal already, if you've never had a teaching job before, then that's kind of hard, but maybe a coworker or like a direct supervisor or somebody that you worked with, maybe somebody in your credential program that like oversaw you teaching, in like a student teaching setting type of a thing. So sometimes people need a little bit of notice to get that done, and then like a lot of times they need to like print it out, sign it, and then scan it so that you have like a signed copy. Sometimes it looks better if it's on school letterhead. So all those things are going to take a little bit of time. So first things first, email a few people, see if they can write you a really good letter of recommendation, and get it all set up how you need it. The other thing that you need to order right away are transcripts, and again, those just take a little while sometimes. I have noticed that if you do yours through like the student clearinghouse or something like that, a lot of schools use that. Now you can get an electronic copy and then print it and then upload it. It's kind of weird. So that's the other thing too, is that if you have these documents and you need to scan them in, sometimes the file is too big for EdJoin to accept it. So the last time that I went through this process, like it took a lot of hours. And if you've got a good scanner, that's good. You can try like taking pictures with your phone and uploading those, but a lot of times the file is too big, so you need just like a little wiggle room with time to get all these documents uploaded. What we ended up doing in the end was just going to FedEx and doing it all there, and they just had like more equipment and better stuff, so it just worked out a lot better. Like maybe just start off by going to FedEx or somewhere like that, Staples, and just scanning things in and putting it up on your profile. You're going to need any like test scores, like so for California, your CBEST scores, your CSETs, any like subject matter competency Don't think you need like your diploma because you have your transcripts, but all that kind of stuff, it just takes a while. You know, you start your profile and you think you're going to be done, and it's going to take longer than you think. So get started on that right away. The next thing is just to make sure that you have a good resume. And again, this is just a little bit tough when you haven't taught yet. That was, hard for me. Like, what do I put on this? But I had been teaching piano lessons. I put that as work experience. I had worked in an after-school program. I had done like performing arts camps and stuff with kids, sports camps with kids. So I put those things on there for my work experience. You can put your education on there, any volunteer work that you've done, and then any like special trainings or anything like that that you ever went to. Like even with my after school program that I worked for, I went to some like Kagan trainings and things like that. So I put those on my resume, and you want to, go through your resume with a fine tooth comb. So that's going to take you a couple of hours as well. And then you're going to save that as a PDF and then upload that to your profile. The other thing is that you need to start like a Word document and write kind of a generic cover letter, like a letter of introduction, actually is what I think they have on EdJoin. They'll say letter of introduction, and you'll upload it there. But you just need like an open Word file in your computer that says like to, and then you could change like whichever district or whichever school you're applying to. And then you need to have a little bit in there about that school or about that district, why you want to work for them, and let them know that you know a little bit about them. Kind of flatter them a little bit, and then explain why you would be a good fit, talk about some of your strengths. In the end, just thank them for the opportunity to apply, say that you look forward to hearing from them. And your letter of introduction, you don't really keep on your EdJoin profile, because again, you're going to change it for every job that you apply for, but you'll just have to upload it to each individual application that you do. And for me, I had like a cover letter that was specific to English jobs, one that was specific to history jobs, and then one that was specific to PE jobs, because I have those 3 different credentials. And at first I was just like, I will take anything, like please somebody hire me. So I had like all these different files open depending on which jobs I was looking for. Again, if you live in California, you need to go to the, CCTC, the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing website, and look at your actual credential document. The one that you upload to EdJoin is like super boring looking. It looks like a 10-year-old made it on their computer. It's super boring. But then there is a little more complicated one actually on their website, and it tells you like which credential you actually have. Because if you got it a long time ago, like you had to add your CLAD, which like means you can teach EL students, but if you got it a little more recently, then that's embedded in your credential. So there's a lot of different credentials. It's a little bit confusing, and when you make your profile, again, you're gonna have to know that. So make sure you're a little bit familiar with that credential website and kind of figure out which one you have. Do you have single subject? Do you have multiple subject? And when did you get it? Because then sometimes it exempts you from having to upload certain scores. So it's kind of weird, but yeah. Okay, after you finally get all that stuff done, then you can start searching for jobs. And you can search by area, like physical area. Maybe you just want to look for jobs in this particular district, and you don't want to go outside of whatever district you live in. But I would suggest being a little more open and searching for a little wider radius, because they are a little bit few and far between still. It's not as bad as it used to be, but I would be a little bit flexible. Then you can look by, do you want like an elementary job, or are you going to look by subject area? And even if you are an aide or, a parapro or something like that, they have job postings on EdJoin for those positions as well. So there's a lot of postings up there. So you can make like a wish list of the jobs that you want to apply for, and they're going to have deadlines listed, when this application has to be in. Keep a really close eye on those deadlines, and like if you have a planner or something like I do, write the deadline a day before the actual deadline is, because you're going to also need a little bit of wiggle room on some of those deadlines, because sometimes they're sneaky right at the end. Sometimes you'll get to the end of the application and then they'll have you do like a quiz that just kind of asks like what you would do in certain situations, and they just kind of get like this profile on I don't know, your teaching tendencies or whatever, but it could take like an hour. So if it's due, you know, by 5 o'clock on whatever day, and then you get to the end at like 4:59, you're not going to have time to finish that little profile thing. Or sometimes they'll ask you questions right at the end. Like one that I've seen pretty commonly is they'll give you like their district's statement of belief or whatever, you know, like, we believe that all students can learn and da-da-da. And then they'll ask you to describe how your teaching style fits in with their philosophy of education or whatever. So then, you know, you gotta like write a pretty good essay, right at the end when you're stressed and you're trying to do it in the next 5 minutes. So just know that sometimes they throw those things at you right at the end. I feel like it's kind of to like weed people out who are doing it right at the last minute. I don't know, but sometimes that happens, so just be aware. And one other quick tip as well, when you are looking at different jobs that are posted on EdJoin, this takes a little bit of digging. Sometimes they post like the salary information on EdJoin. I think they post like the starting salary information, but go to their website, the district's website, and look at their human resources page and find their salary schedule. So the way that it works in school districts is you make a certain amount based on the amount of years that you've been in the district. So, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's going to go down like this. And then they also give you a raise based on like your units, or if you have a master's or whatever, and that's going to go this way. So you can kind of line things up like, okay, I've been teaching for 5 years, I have a master's, all right, I'm going to be in this box right here, and that's how much I'm going to make. So you want to look at that and compare different districts. Look at, you know, what you're going to start at. Is that going to be enough for you to live on? Look at where you're going to be in about 10 years. You know, do they give you a raise pretty quickly so that you're, you know, making enough to pay off your student loans and pay your bills and maybe buy a house and all this stuff? You know, you need to be aware of that. And then look at where they top out. So let's say you stay in that district for 30 years. When you leave, you know, what's your retirement going to be based on? Some districts top out at like 75,000. Some districts top out at like 102,000 or something. So that's a pretty big difference. And then, you know, some really reward you if you have a master's, like that'll give you a really big raise. Some, it hardly makes a difference at all. So if you have a master's, like maybe you want to go to one of those districts where you're making a lot more because of that. Just kind of be aware of those numbers as you're looking for a job. I know that like you just need to get one, but kind of be thinking about that. One other thing to keep in mind too, and this probably won't show up on their website. This is kind of like, you know, once you're hired, you find this out, but some districts pay really high, but then they don't pay for your benefits, or they like don't cover them completely or whatever. The last district that I was in, they paid a little bit lower, but I didn't have to pay anything out of pocket for benefits, so that was super nice. Now the new district that I'm going to, they pay more, but they don't cover as much benefits. However, the district that my husband is in, I can be added to his insurance without having to pay monthly. So, you know, you just kind of have to like work out all those little things too. So just keep in mind the insurance benefit stuff, if you can find that information at all. I know it's a lot to keep track of. Okay, so then you're going to put in all these applications and you're going to spend all this time on your cover letter and gathering everything up, and then you're going to get a couple emails from school districts that say, thank you so much for your application. We have reviewed it. We received many qualified applicants and we thank you so much for applying, but you were not chosen to have an interview or whatever. So, and you just get super annoyed at those, like, seriously, put all this into it and you're not even gonna give me an interview, but you'll get some of those. And then hopefully you'll get a few that say, thank you for applying. We'd like to have you come interview next week. And it's usually right when, you know, you're home all summer long and you just have like one weekend vacation that you've planned. And usually like that Friday, they want you to come in for an interview. So it's kind of tough with summer stuff. Like if you're applying for teaching jobs, you've got to be a little bit flexible with your plans during the summer, because it's always like that. They'll call you and say like, can you come in tomorrow for an interview? Can you come in Friday at 2 p.m. for an interview? And you're like, eh. So you got to be able to go to that interview, right, in order to get the job. So that always happens. Okay, so let's say you get that interview. That's super exciting. That means that you have gone through all of the profile, you went through the whole application process, they looked at everything, they thought you seemed like a good candidate, you've made it really far now if you've got an interview. So then you're gonna go in for that interview, and I feel like I'm gonna get this question: what do you wear to an interview? For guys, I don't know, you just always wear what, like slacks and a tie and jacket or whatever. I don't know. Guys, you have it easy. For girls, this is the other thing too. I live in Southern California, and it is I think 106 today, and so you're trying to go in for an interview and not like sweat to death in the car and, you know, walking from your car to that office in the meantime. And so it's hard to like dress professionally when it's so hot. But I just always wear the same thing to interviews just so I don't have to like stress about it. I just wear black slacks. I have kind of like professional black skinny jean type things. I wear like wedges. They're not like open-toed, but just some like black wedges. I usually wear a blouse that's like sleeveless so that I'm not too hot. And then I have this little blazer thing that's just like a lightweight blazer. And then when I get in the car, I take that thing off. Like, whew. So just kind of have like one outfit, maybe just like there's a couple shirts that you would switch out if one's dirty, but just have this outfit already planned for when you need to go in for interviews. Bring some flip-flops or something in the car, and then just change your shoes, you know, because the interview is only going to last a little while, but you want to look pretty nice when you go in. I just keep things pretty neutral. Like my little lightweight blazer thing is just navy, and I have my black pants, I have the black shoes, and then usually like a white blouse with like a little print on it or something. Try not to wear any jewelry that's very distracting, like maybe not like a huge statement necklace or like really dangly earrings that are gonna like make noise when you move your head, or like bracelets that are gonna jangle. You know, they don't really care what jewelry you're wearing, so, you know, just keep it simple. I generally put my hair up in some way just so that I'm not like tempted to mess with it. Okay, so when you're preparing for your interview, here are just a few things to keep in mind. You're probably going to walk in and there'll be a panel of maybe like the principal and a couple of teachers, like the department chair of whatever department you're trying to work in or whatever. Maybe there'll be like 4 or 5 people, and usually they'll kind of take turns asking you questions. You'll be pretty nervous when you walk in, but you know, you just introduce yourself, just shake everyone's hand and ask their names, try and actually remember their name. Try to appear confident when you speak and when you sit down, and you know, just do the best you can with that, because it's always nerve-wracking, and they know that, and they have, you know, this whole day of interviews to go through, and they're not really picking you apart probably as much as you think they are. They're just looking for somebody good to fill their position, so they're not necessarily looking for all the bad things about every candidate that comes in. They're looking for the good things. They're trying to find the best one. Okay, so here are a few questions that I've been asked in the many interviews that I have gone on in the past 5 years or so. One thing that they sometimes ask you is your philosophy of education. I kind of hate that question because I don't think that it gives you very much insight into how good of a teacher this person is, but they might ask you that. If they are kind of uncreative, they'll ask you that. And, you know, it's something like, all children are able to learn, and it's our job to facilitate their learning in whatever way that we can, and whatever. I don't know. I don't really like having to explain a philosophy of education. I like more like concrete questions a lot more. Thank goodness they didn't ask me my philosophy of education in my last interview, because I didn't have one prepared, but probably prepare one. They will definitely ask you like about your classroom management style or your classroom management procedures, and that's something that I can answer super well. And one thing you probably want to say is that like you try to prevent problems before they happen, so you have procedures in place that will keep your children, keep your students engaged and on task throughout the day in order to minimize some of the behavior issues. And then you have a very clear set of procedures for dealing with behavior expectations that were not met. So, you know, you want to say something along those lines. They're going to ask you almost for sure about the EL strategies that you use in your classroom. So, I mean, even if, like, you know these things, but then sometimes it's kind of hard to verbalize it when somebody puts you on the spot. Like, literally, if you just, like, Google, like, EL strategies, you'll look through and you'll be like, oh, yeah, I do that, and I do that. Or I learned about that in my credential class. And so you just need, like, a quick refresher. Just jot down a few things about vocabulary lists and, you know, pair share and speaking and stuff like that. Tapping into background knowledge, you know, there's a bunch of strategies. So again, you just kind of got to like write down a few that you can explain really well that you are good at, and I mean, you're not going to give them a 10-minute answer anyway. You're only going to give them like a 2 or 3 minute answer. So just write down enough and memorize enough to fill that amount of time. Similarly, they're also going to ask you about like your differentiation for special ed students or for GATE students or advanced students or whatever. So just have a few strategies in mind that you really do use, you know, because if they like press you for more information, you want to be able to explain. And a lot of times they'll say like, and give an example of how you have used this in your classroom before. So you do want to think of a concrete example for every question that you think they might ask. I've been asked this a few times too, like words that describe you as a teacher. And so, you know, you feel like you're filling out a dating profile or something, but like for mine, I said organized, challenging, and a role model. I think those are the things that I said for mine. And then, you know, you have to give examples of how you are all three of those things. So yeah, come up with like at least 3 words that describe you. Sometimes they'll ask for like a typical lesson plan. That's my favorite question, when they just ask you like, how do you teach? Like, what do you do in your classroom? So they'll ask you maybe for like, okay, a typical day, just kind of walk me through what does a period in your class look like? Or I've been asked like, what's one of your favorite units to teach and what are some of the highlights of that unit? I love questions like that. They might ask you how you, you know, deal with parents or how you like to involve parents in your classroom, something along those lines. And then they may ask you like if you do any extracurricular activities, and especially if you're a new teacher, when you can't rely on your experience, rely on your willingness to, you know, go above and beyond and do, you know, coach the basketball team or run the drama program or something like that, do extracurricular activities. If they're hiring a new teacher, that's what they want out of you. And they want you to be willing to learn and willing to just kind of like fall into their programs and what they do. I mean, you definitely want to project the attitude that you're willing to learn their ways and do things the way that they like to do them and kind of just, you know, be integrated into their program. So they're going to be looking for that. One other thing is they may ask why you want to work at their school or work in that district. And so you want to know enough about that school or that area in order to answer that question. And like, for example, with my last interview, I told them like I was not planning on leaving my other school. I was not unhappy with my other job, but I saw an opportunity to work in this district, and I know they don't have openings very often, and I didn't want to miss out on this opportunity to work in such a high achieving district that has, you know, really high standards for their students. And so yeah, you want to let them know like if you are leaving a job, like why, and you don't want to ever badmouth your old job or anything like that, but you know, just let them know why you would want to work at their school. And I mean, your real answer is like, because I need to pay my bills, man, and I need a job. I don't even care what it is. But you know, you want to have a better answer than that. So hopefully after that, you'll have, you know, a good interview, and then you'll go home, and if they liked you, then they'll call your references. One thing to do also, like your letter of recommendation people may be the same as your references, or they might be different. But if you went on an interview, just go ahead and like call the people who are your references or send them a text and let them know like somebody might be calling you tonight or this week asking you about me, like just a heads up, so they can kind of like start thinking. You don't want the person who's your reference to like not have anything to say and be caught off guard when they call and ask what kind of a teacher you are. And then you are going to probably get a call from the principal or the vice principal if you got the job. They'll call you and, you know, just ask you if you accept it, and if you do, then you say yes, and you're very excited to get started. However, the verbal offer from the principal is not the same thing as like having your contract. So just because the principal offers it to you, don't necessarily go telling everybody. Don't like quit your old job yet, maybe. You know, don't make any real concrete plans, because you need to wait for the call from HR, and there's a bunch of stuff you're gonna have to do through them before you officially have that job. And I can tell you that my very first job that I ever interviewed for and then I was chosen for, the principal offered it to me, I accepted, we made all these plans based on that job, and then the HR people called me and said, actually, we're going to go a whole different direction with this. We're changing everything about it, so you don't have a job. And I was like, oh, crap. And it kind of ruined our lives for a couple months there. And then with that too, I like missed the window to apply to any other positions because I thought I had that one. And then I ended up not ever getting a teaching job that year. That was a really bad year. So anyway, wait for the call from HR. And even after that, let's see, what else I said here? Okay. Probably the first thing they're going to have you do is go down to like a UPS place, or sometimes the police department, but somewhere where you can get a live scan done. So it's like your fingerprints. They should pay for it. So they're going to give you like some paperwork and you bring that in, and they'll cover the cost, but you got to get the live scan because they have to be sure that you're not like a murderer or anything. And then you're going to have a bunch of paperwork that you have to take care of with their HR person. So you're not even going to be talking to the principal or other teachers or anything. You're going to be dealing with HR. You need to go locate your social security card, your driver's license, anything else. Oh, bring your checkbook, which you probably never use. Go dig out a check somewhere because you'll probably sign up for like direct deposit during that little meeting with the HR people. And I forgot my check last time I did one too, because you never really use them these days. But you're going to need all those types of things. Make sure you have that ahead of time. Yeah, there's just going to be a ton of paperwork. You're just going to sign your life away. A couple things that you want to just make sure you save a little brain power for, because I usually don't. They're going to ask you about like retirement. Usually they're going to have you meet with somebody from like American Fidelity or something like that, and they're going to ask you if you want to like set aside extra money every month for a 403b or whatever. Even talking about it right now, like I'm like, whoa, I don't want to think about this. But you're probably going to have to do something like that. And usually you can only make these kind of decisions at that moment. You can't change anything later. It's like disability and stuff. If you are thinking of having a baby, like ever, then you probably need to like work out some disability insurance and stuff like that. I know my district does not cover any of that type of stuff at all. So do that. Like your insurance, they're going to have you, fill out like how much coverage do you want? Do you want to add people? If there's anyone you want to add, you need to have their social security numbers. So if you're adding a spouse or a kid or whatever, come with all of that. It's a pain to have to go back and forth to the HR office and like drop stuff off every day. So try and have all of that taken care of. You fill out like your W-2, know what you want to do with your taxes and all of that. It's not fun stuff at the beginning. I hate doing all that kind of stuff, but just know that's coming. What was the other thing? Oh, a lot of times you have to do like a child abuse mandated reporter training thing before you can start as well. So sometimes now they've started making that like an online little class that you can just take and pass, which is a little bit better than having to do it live and in person anyway. So sometimes you have to do things like that. What else? Oh, one other quick tip. They may take an ID picture of you when you go to the HR department. They did that for me this time, and let's just say I looked like I was on summer break. I mean, almost every single day this summer I've just had my hair up in like a crazy pineapple bun thing, and I had like a tank top on. I had the baby with me. I think I probably had spit up on me somewhere. And we took my ID picture that day, so I looked real nice in my ID picture. So every time you go into HR, if you don't have a baby that has a blowout right before you have to go to your meeting, then maybe you can dress a little bit nicer and have like a little bit of makeup and hair done or something like that, because you might take an ID picture. So after you do all of those things, then you will finally like go meet with your principal or the vice principal or like the secretary or something, get your keys, find out just the details about that school. Like, when do they start? When do they end? What is your schedule going to be like? Get into your classroom and start, setting everything up. So it's a very long process before you actually start working. The other thing is too, that a lot of times if you're going into a new district, they have you do new educator training. So they'll have you come in like a week early, and they'll get you, like, maybe you have an iPad or a laptop or something that they give you through the district. They'll help you get signed into your email. They'll teach you how to get a sub, how to get into the attendance and all those types of things. So that's usually a couple days long. So plan on going back to work even earlier than when school starts. And if you're a brand new teacher in California, then you probably have to get signed up for BITSA, which sucks. BITSA freaking sucks. I hate it so much. I have a whole video on how to get through BITSA, and I hate it. But I can link that down below. You have to do it though. If you're a new teacher, you have to do 2 years of BITSA, which is beginning, teacher, support, and assessment. And it's awful. So anyway, you may have to get signed up for that as well. And you know, that's all on top of like figuring out what you're gonna do on the first day and getting your classroom all set up, and if you're coming from another school, getting your stuff out of there, moving it in. So it's like quite a process to get hired. So this is what I mean. Don't start on like August 15th trying to find a teaching job. You need to start in like May, if you can, getting your EdJoin profile all set up, starting to apply for jobs, and you know, doing your interview and going through the process. It's like a long deal, and so it's a while before you're gonna start getting paid too. So right now it's already July, so this is a little bit late in the game. But if you're watching this like almost a year from now, schools do start posting jobs in like May. Like sometimes you'll see some jobs in like April or May. Go ahead and apply for those, man. If you can like secure your job for next year in April or May, that's great. But a lot of times, you know, people don't know if they're staying or leaving until over the summer, and then they find out they've got more kids than they thought or whatever, and they're going to open up positions. So definitely be checking all the way throughout the summer. Sometimes they do start the school year with a sub, and they still need to hire, or you know, they find out that they had more kids than they thought, and then they have to hire like one extra teacher. So kind of your window is probably like April to September or October. The other months, there are probably not really going to be any openings, but yeah, be looking. Let me know if you have any other suggestions, or if you got a brand new teaching job this year. Let me know. What grade are you teaching? What was the job hunt process like for you? Let us know so people can just kind of get a feel for how it works. Maybe if you're in like a different state or something like that, then you know, give us some insight into different areas. So anyway, I wish you the best of luck on your job hunt. You know, you're just so excited to start teaching, especially when you're brand new. So I just wish you all the luck in the world. I hope that you find the right district where you fit perfectly, the right school, the right grade level, the right subject matter, the right coworkers. You know, sometimes things just work out perfectly, and so I hope that's how it is for you. And I look forward to sharing with you, you know, the rest of my journey as I like start at a new school. I'm a little bit nervous, but I should have some more videos coming out about beginning of the year tips and setting up your classroom and stuff like that. So I will keep you updated. So anyway, baby is probably about done with his nap, so I gotta go. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.